Hey, welcome back to the Passive Buddies podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to apologize in advance. Brandon may fall asleep, so if you're watching the video, he looks a little bit tired. He's got a new puppy, and I totally get he's got to get up with the puppy like every 3 hours. The guy's in pain. He looks knackered.
Mm.
So if I just have to talk for the whole episode at some point, guys, you will know why. So I apologize in advance, but our beautiful co-host is here. He may look tired, but he's still gorgeous. It is Brandon Duff, and we are going to talk about learn anything with ChatGPT. Now, why not go to school instead?
Well, because I think it's funny. I just did a YouTube video about this, and it was I predicted the future, and I had this video maybe like 2019. Is that right? I don't know. It was quite a bit ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, and it was pretty much me saying like, what's going to happen is AI is going to be an app that kids can play on, and it's going to based on how they answer things and how they interact with the device, and how much time they spend on it versus how much time they take away from it. It's going to direct them into their atmosphere of where their strengths are and really focus on their strengths versus their weaknesses. And I think that that's where technology and school is going to go, where we all have our own personal handheld personal assistant teacher that like can only strengthen us in what we're really good at. And so I think that's really, really cool. Obviously, there's going to be things we need with like social interaction and engagement and challenges and stuff like that. But I think that education is definitely going to be in that way. But right now, you can make education really, really easy. Like I can create a whole course super easy. Like say I'll go to Udemy, I'll grab a few outlines of the courses that they have because they always have the descriptions and the names. I'll copy those and I'll say, here, ChatGPT, I want to learn this skill. This is the skills sets that I want to learn. I'll paste that information in there. And then I'll say, include all subcategories that I think I might be interested in. And you are a professor at Harvard, so create me an outline for that course that I can teach students. And then it will literally create like a whole outline for that course based on, you know, information that I got from the top two courses on Udemy.
Damn. So, like, obviously, you've got to pull the course outlines from Udemy or Skillshare or anything like that, put them into ChatGPT and went, hey, basically either build me a course or teach me this. And
Right.
it'll literally, and do you know what? This is really, really interesting because I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday or
I
the day
thought I was
before.
your only friend.
You basically are, but this was a really nice, helpful voice note that she shot me. So she works in a college. Um, she does marketing in a college, and what she's saying is adult intakes on courses has drastically reduced
Oh, wow.
over the last 12 months. Like
Wow.
across the country, colleges can't get as many adults into traditional education, which I thought was
Mm.
really, really interesting because it's like, because if you think about it, like the traditional route is, especially when you get to an adult, you've been through it for 18 years, you can't be asked with it, can you? And people that were going back to upskill and upskill and upskill, like on like it's dropped dramatically now. Obviously, with the power of AI, with the power of all these online courses, it's interesting that like people are especially in the UK, and obviously if we're doing it in the UK, you've probably been doing it for the last 2-3 years before us because you just always are ahead of us. So like I bet you from a US perspective, adult sign up in traditional courses in the US would have dropped as well, which means more and more people are seeking their education and their learning online, which means
Yeah.
ChatGPT is going to become a powerhouse.
Well, I think that's kind of crazy, but I'm going to take a step further. This just like went through my mind when you were saying this, um, and I totally agree with you. And I haven't looked at the statistics when it comes to that. But and I challenge people to comment down below. But do you feel it's going to be a time where schools are we have a schooling collapse in a sense, a college collapse where schools can't maintain, I mean, a school, depending on obviously private schools versus public schools and funding that goes into those. But what's to say you're this TikTok star and you no longer need to go to school because you learned, you have now 1 million likes on YouTube or on TikTok, and go into these different jobs and being like, hey, I can like blow you up just by doing this. And you don't need now a marketing team. You don't need this. You have this one influencer that can essentially grow your business because they put you out on a shout out, which is kind of crazy.
The influence, we can go massively in depth into the influencer marketing scenario, because businesses, traditional businesses, brick and mortar businesses, are now catching on to that power, and in their marketing budget, they're actually using like a portion of it for influencer marketing.
Yeah, but you have to think it's crazy because you have to think like they can literally no longer need to put on a resume. They can be like, oh, I've done this. I worked with this influencer and got them this many views. I have this many views on YouTube. I have, these. I've been able to create AI avatar, and this avatar YouTube channel was able to get 1 million views with just a fake AI generation thing. And that's what people might put on a resume, because you can actually, that's metrics, not like, oh, what I know. It's actually provable things that have actually completed. So I think that like AI is going to really change the game.
Which means, like, obviously, if that's the way like the resume world will go, and if that's like obviously how you'll prove obviously you're good enough, which I think is a fantastic way, like proofs in the pudding, like don't put it on paper, show me.
Right.
What would be the top 3 things you'd learn with ChatGPT? What would you use to propel like a career, or to propel you as a business owner? What would you like use ChatGPT to learn?
So you have to think of what things take up a lot of time and what will buy you back that time. And I think that once, I would say that this copy is probably the one thing, because copy is a skill that you need to practice, practice, practice. And if you don't learn your market audience, you don't do your nurture your audience to find out their pains and their pleasures, then you're not going to be able to write effective copy. So over the years, I've been able to do pretty good, and now I feed my copy into ChatGPT, and with its grammar skills and with all of its, I guess, knowledge, it's able to take how I write and actually put that into the into like my toolkit. It's able to actually create everything, my copy for my Facebook post. Like I did 90 pieces of content with ChatGPT. So if anything, number one, I would learn how to prompt with ChatGPT. If that was a skill set. Because if you don't know how to use ChatGPT correctly, then you're going to get garbage in and garbage out. So I think that'd be the number one skill set that I would learn. Do you have any?
I absolutely love that, especially because, like, obviously, this whole podcast is about learning with ChatGPT, and we're learning how to use ChatGPT, which is part of the, and even better, like, learn how to prompt with ChatGPT. If you ask ChatGPT what to put in, like, hey, I'm looking for a prompt for this, or looking for a prompt for that, or what can I tell you to give you the best answer? And it goes and tells you, like, right, okay, include this, include that, include this, include that, right? Like, add this, talk to me about this, what's this? And ChatGPT can teach you how to prompt ChatGPT, which I think is just insane, isn't it? Like, there's been a couple of times where I've sat there and gone, right, okay, I need to do this. What's the best prompt? How can we encourage it to do this, this, and this? And as you say, learning prompts, especially like with all the integrations that are going to come out, and the like the automations that will feed from ChatGPT, learning how to get the best output from ChatGPT will be one of the best skills that you can then trigger. So once you've learned that prompt, and obviously the automations are then built and the APIs are built, because I bet you people are using ChatGPT to build APIs with ChatGPT.
No, I'll give you a perfect example. You know, in
Ooh.
our cash flow challenge, in our cash flow community, we have I do pop-up trainings, and in one of those trainings, I went over this tool that I use that essentially will print me out 1,600 word blog posts, 3,000 word blog posts, 6,000 word blog posts that are all SEO optimized with H1s, H2s, and H3s with background descriptions for them. And at the very top, it tells me how much the cost is for using the AI or the API with ChatGPT, as you were saying, using the API. So the software connects with the API of ChatGPT, and it gives me the H1s, H2s, H3s, all the descriptions. I can feed it all the background data. It prints me out the meta description for that, and it also gives me the Midjourney prompt that I feed it into Midjourney in order to actually get a tile or a photo that is like a banner for a blog post that I can paste into my blog, so that I can put obviously the right SEO and alt tags on that to rank higher on the Google internet webs.
It's just insane, isn't it? Like, obviously, learning ChatGPT to leverage so many different things. Like the we've been saying for ages, haven't we? Like personal branding and content creation, conversation domination is massive. It's gonna be one of those things that pays you for decades. Now, all of that admin, like all those blog posts, can be like I remember like looking on Upwork, and a blog could cost you like $500, and probably cost you what, five with the
For
API with the
for
costs.
for me,
Like how much does
for
a blog
that,
cost you now?
take a guess. You said $5.
I said five, yeah.
That was outlandishly high.
So that was the coolest answer I think I've ever heard. It was like, yeah, that's just a bit high. That was so politically correct. Right, guys, for those of you who've missed the importance of that, $5 was high, which means obviously when you've got people writing blog posts at $100 or $500, like on Upwork, like, and it's cost Brandon less than $5 to create a blog, that ranks, that goes to Google, gets in the top 10, top page, like with AI stuff, with pictures and all that crap. Well, it's not crap, it's golden, but that costs like less than 10, 100 times, less than 100 times what like people can charge, which means like if people aren't onto AI and aren't onto ChatGPT and people are still paying that, you can literally put out or charge $100 for a blog and it'll cost you less than $5 to make. Like, look at the profit margins on that. Like, they're skills that I'd be learning.
Well, it's infinitely scalable because AI can print out. There's a tool within this that one can print out over 1,000 different blogs posts with just you just need 1,000 titles. So essentially, all you need is, hey ChatGPT, create me 1,000 titles, copy paste into this tool, and then print out 1,000 blog posts, and then magic. It would take a while. It would probably take a few hours, maybe overnight, but it would make you 1,000 blog posts where you could be working somewhere else, doing something else. And most people can't do that in 10 years. So not only that, but there's all sorts of other things. It's all in the cash flow community. So you guys definitely want to check that out. Number two skill set, I mean, number one was obviously learning and prompting ChatGPT. Two, I would say just the fundamentals of marketing. Like, I think if you understand the fundamentals of the different aspects of marketing, it would be a very good skill set. Asking ChatGPT to create you as become a Harvard professional, create me an outline for a marketing 101 course, and teach it to me within 3 months to 90 days, and then take that course and go through asking it questions at being your personal assistant. So you're learning how to prompt in the first one, and now you're teaching yourself how to actually learn using ChatGPT, using your prompting skills from learning from ChatGPT. It's like inception learning.
So here's a question for you then, especially because like we do sell a course, we do sell like teaching and coaching and stuff like that. Like, are we out of a job?
No, not at all. And this is, I mean, a lot of educators are, which it sucks. I mean, they're going to lose. They have no real tangible skills because um, they only have a course and that's their only asset. Like we're not out of a job. One, we have other uh, tangible skills. We have the ability to actually transfer our skill set into other people by just taking them through more of a hands-on approach. We have software. I mean, we have a bunch of software. We have sales funnel software. We have all sorts of special prompts that we actually give our students to use these tools, ChatGPT. When people, I mean, this late woman, she came into our support channel and was like, hey, how do I set up this email automation tool that you guys have? And it was super easy. I was just like, oh, it's because of this, this, and this. And she's like, I've been working at this for 2 hours. Like I couldn't figure it out. I was like searching Google. I was doing all the necessary, things that most people should be doing instead of just going, hey, I need help. Like obviously doing her own research first because that's most important. Like don't just go for help. Just like you want to obviously search like how do I fix this problem. This is like solution solving problem, like problem solving skills. That's like the number one thing you have as an entrepreneur is like your ability to solve problems. And so as she finally was like, you know what, I'm just gonna ask them. I gave enough time. I really dug in deep and I couldn't find the answer. She came to us and I was like, this, and this, and it was done. And she was able to do that. So the ability to solve that solution really, really quickly when all else fails, I guess, is and having that hands-on approach, software, all the necessary tools that you just don't get from education, you get from actually learning from that mentorship. And plus you have that community that's there to support you, that motivation, that inspiration, the hand-holding that goes along with it. So no, we're not, a lot of people are in the education space and the online space. We are not. We're definitely not going anywhere.
Woohoo! And you know what? I completely agree. Like you are right from a perspective of like people just need their ass kicking sometimes. Like they need that accountability. They need the coach. Like I perform 10 times better when I've got a coach. And I always have done. Like I like it's just something about me. I don't know why. Like when I've got a coach, like, oh my God, I'm getting my ass kicked and I'm going for it. Which is mad because I'm like I still work my ass off when I've not got a coach, but for some reason my results are just better. And they could be telling me, do you know what? Ironically, they could be telling me something that my missus has told me to do, and I've completely ignored it, but I've listened to him or her, and like I've gone and done it. And then my missus is like, I told you that. But that's a different story. So yeah, like
It's
I do
always
agree, like having a coach in your corner massively helps. So ChatGPT can teach you a hell of a lot. So what would be a third one?
I would say a third one, it would be learning how to invest correctly. And I would say not investing, I would say like the very basics of investing, like not where to put your money, because I don't think ChatGPT can actually do that,
Hmm.
nor would you want to take that information because that is outdated information. It's only up to date to 2021. It's now at this recording 2023, so that's 2 years of outdated information. So you have to take it that with a grain of salt, but understanding like the basic fundamentals of like having a nest egg, like making sure that you have enough cash flow to cover your expenses, not living outside your means, like those kind of Dave Ramsey principles, where it just gets you where you're net cash positive. Like once you have where you can comfortably like, oh, I have 10,000 easily in the bank, like, and you're like, I know I have enough money coming in. That's when you like want to actually consult and look at taking your cash flow to that next level.
Hmm.
Obviously, ChatGPT is not going to help you if you already know that stuff. And you already know like how to save and not use and not get credit card debt and all that. I would say the third one as a skill set. Oh man, that's a tough one. Probably a second language. I think that'd be cool. um, because I don't really know a second language. I can barely speak English well enough. So,
It's usually my line.
so I would say that you can learn a second language using ChatGPT, which I think would be pretty cool.
Do you know what? I'm gonna piss a lot of people off here. Like, and this probably is like, I don't know if it is like English stubbornness or what it is. I was like, but if you travel virtually everywhere in the world, there's English signs anyway. Like there's
Right.
something in English. Like, so from a mental capacity point of view, like obviously your brain can only withhold like so much information, and it's a powerful tool. Like obviously, if you learn English, you can basically go anywhere and you'll be okay. There is certain places that you cannot go, or you can go and you'll struggle. Ironically, I went to Gran Canaria and the English level was really bad. Obviously, I went to Colombia, English level was quite low. It's not really bad, it's just low. Obviously, they don't use it. But yeah, I'm very much like, and I've got family who speak two languages and stuff like that, and I'm still like, it's like, oh, you should get the kids in it. You should get the kids like learning the language. I was like, why? I was like, if they learn English, they can probably go around the world to find. I was like,
So the only reason why, and I would say it's because you can get more information. Because there's conversations that are going on where you are around, and like this happens. I love YouTube videos like this, and the reason why is there'll be this white dude who gets his manicure done or pedicure done, and he's in this Vietnamese or like nail salon, and they're all speaking, and then he starts speaking, and they're like, "You speak this language?" And they're like, "He's like, mama, mama," and I'm like, see, like that stuff you miss out on. And
hmm,
so being able to do that, I think, is a powerful tool, because also it allows, if you can speak in someone else's language, it's a sign of respect, and it allows you access to other things.
definitely
Um,
agree with that. A lot of people have like when you hear someone speaking a different language, like I see it all the time. Like my brother-in-law is from Colombia, so if someone speaks Spanish to him, he automatically he's lifted. He's lifted by that someone trying to make that effort to talk in his native tongue instead of all us ignorant people just go, oh yeah, talk, and then just talking in English and making him do the hard work. And so no, totally get that point, and I do agree with it.
so that goes with the whole learning how to sell. So if you know how to sell and be able to speak in someone else's language, that is a very good skill set to have. So that's very good to have. We'll actually have a podcast episode on the sales in a few episodes, depending on where this when this airs. So definitely subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out on all of our time-sensitive material. As I said, we always do release time-sensitive material, unlike ChatGPT, who is a few years old. So you definitely don't want to miss out on that. Anything else you want to add, Brian?
No, I think this episode's been quite an interesting one. There's been a few different like things flying around and a few different opinions, a few different like obviously statistics. I think this has been a really good episode. So guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you want to learn anything specific, if you want us to cover anything specific, either come into the Casto community because that's where it's at. That's where we dive into massive detail about absolutely everything you want to know. So come and join that. That'll be the first link below. Or drop us a comment and we'll see what you want us to talk about on this podcast. Let us know so we can make sure we're creating content specifically for you guys. And we will see you in the next episode.
Peace.